I believe I've said this before in another video for this test, is that anytime we have percentages on the PSAT, on the SAT, we need to be cautious because there are a lot of trap answers when it comes to percentages. This is definitely no exception because not only is this percentages, but it's number 21 out of 22 in the hard module. They are messing with you here. They are hoping you misunderstand what's going on. So this is all the more reason to stick to what I call the open formulas, okay? And it's because they look like the word open. So we have a simple one that just replaces the E with an equals, and then we have a more complicated one that is used when we have a percent change. So we first need to decide which open formula applies here. So let's read the story and see what it says. After 20% of the original number of marbles in a group were removed from the group, 360 marbles remain in the group. How many marbles were removed? So they're changing something, right? They're removing 20%. That's a change. So I want to use this formula. And it's otherwise very literal, right? So we don't know the original, but we do know that we're removing 20%. So all you got to do for that part is convert the P into, or convert the percentage into a decimal. The formula requires that. So there you go. Now, notice I'm going to put the 360 here, which is N stands for new. We know that there are now 360 marbles in the group. But this is why the formula is so important. Many of you are going to be like, okay, if I have 360, let's take 20% of that and see what we get and then add it back in. Or just do 20% of 360. And honestly, I could just really fast 20% of 360. Let's see if that's an answer. 0.2 times 360 is 72. Yeah, that's the trap. There's no way question 21 in the hard module is going to be that easy. So even if you have no idea what I'm doing here, at the very least, you should have crossed out choice A and said, that's way too easy. There's more complicated things going on here. Let me at least guess from what's left over. But we can finish the job now. We actually have an ability to solve for X and get the original number. So that's 0.8 times X is 360. So we can divide both sides by 0.8. And 360 divided by 0.8 is 450. So that's also an answer and also a bit of a trap, but this is more of a careless kind of trap because it's just missing what they're asking for, right? They're not asking how many marbles were in the group originally. They're asking how many marbles were removed. So now the last step is actually to use this formula and say that we have 450 originally. We want to know what 20% of that is. And so 450 times 0.2 is 90. That's the answer that they were looking for. But that last step, I really want to be clear, is purely you not reading the question and not necessarily paying attention to what they're asking for. That last step there, just taking 20% of 450, is really simple. If you forgot to do that, that's because you're just not reading the question carefully. This, if you got choice A, this is why we have to think about traps with percentages, is our brain is not good at it. We learn from an early age that percentages are found by multiplying. That is not always true. In fact, on the PSAT and the SAT, we are often going to divide, like I did here, to figure out a percentage or to work with percentages. And they do that on purpose. They know you did not learn a very good formula for percentages. So they know that they can reverse it. And since you don't have a formula, you have a process. It's very difficult to reverse the process. But if it's a formula, it doesn't matter. You can plug in whatever you've got and solve for whatever you don't. And that's going to work. It's just basic algebra at that point. So try to learn these open formulas. This is really important for not falling for traps because we know they're going to be there on the percentage questions. I have a whole lesson on my channel. Just search percentages and this should come up and you should be able to learn these pretty easily and get good at using them.